Influencers pricing per post. What we should know about it. Found this article that kind of gives us the breakdown of what you could expect if you're trying to be an influencer and you want to make money on those platforms that you're an influencer on. Then maybe this gives you some like price anchoring, the brackets, so you can kind of know like what you could charge for something. And it's pretty cool because it goes into these different sections of like all the way from like macro celebrity style influencers all the way down to nano influencers. So let's look at this. It's kind of interesting right here. It talks about influencer tier. So celebrities, celebrity. I'm a celebrity. So 1 million plus followers. So you're just super famous, I guess. Celeb. So I guess online, I suppose. Macro influencers between 250K and 1 million. Mid 75 to 250. Micro 10K to 75. And anything less than 10K is considered a nano influencer. All right, fair enough. It makes sense. These are everyday folks. So if you're an everyday folk and you want to make some money, here is what we could look at. This is interesting too, talking about just overall price for that. Let me zoom in here. Instagram is this cost-effective channel has an average price of $10 per post, okay, per 1,000 followers. All right, so let's see. And then TikTok. So I mean, it's kind of cool that you can be on any of these platforms and make a couple bucks from it as long as you're at least at that nano influencer. So 10K seems to be the following that you need to hit to be able to start charging some sort of pricing. And yeah, I think the old granddaddy of this whole thing is probably the blog. $60 per post per 1,000 unique visitors. Yeah, I think that was going on before social really started to hit the scene too much. But this is cool here. At $2 per post per 1,000 followers, Twitter offers the lowest influencer marketing prices. So if you are wanting to spend money on influencer marketing and Twitter is where your target audience is at, or at least it's one spot that they show up at, then putting some money into Twitter ads, influencer highlights and influencer posts could be good for you. Could be good for you. $2 per 1,000 followers. So let's see, $20 to get out to 10,000 people. That sounds pretty good to me. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. Let's zoom back out and see what else we got going on here. And for all of you IG people, here we go with the numbers. It's the most widely leveraged social platform. Average cost. Okay, so this is based on 2021. So it's probably inflation. It's probably gone up a little bit since then. But for a post, between $25 and $200 for a nano influencer. All the way through $20,000. What? Okay. All right. Well, maybe we need to get celebrity status, I think, and then IG. I don't need to do anything else. Stop making these videos. We just shut it down, and just post on our IG account, huh? Interesting, dude. There's just so much money here. TikTok, same thing. I mean, you're still in like over $1,000 even as a micro influencer. So, and this is what's really cool is going through influencer marketing as opposed to traditional paid advertising. It can be really, really good for you, especially if you are a personal brand or you're running a company, small business, whatever it is, and you don't have that much of a following and you want to be prevalent on these social platforms, then going through influencer marketing could be really good for you because yeah, you could go pay and create an ad and then hopefully you do it perfect. But if you team up with an influencer, not only do you get huge exposure that it's pretty much guaranteed, right? Because you know how many people follow them, but you also have this like authority piece as a personal brand or a business because you're partnered up. And these famous people essentially are vouching for you. And so not only do you get the reach and the exposure, but you get this like trust that's kind of built into it, because the people that follow these influencers, obviously they like what they're doing, and they've probably grown to trust what they say and what they post. What, you know, even if it is kind of like an ad type of thing, you know, it's probably relevant to their audience. So that could be huge for you. Something to consider. Let's see. YouTube videos. See, this is what I think is interesting, because I don't think a lot of people are doing influencer marketing in the YouTube space. At least it's not talked about that much. But, you know, to either pay a few $100, or if you're the influencer, if you have a small YouTube channel, you could still make a couple $100. So think about this too. If you're newer to YouTube and you're trying to get monetized, and you want to be able to turn on the ad spend and make that like that side income off of YouTube, which I'm all for, and you know, I'm in that process as well. You can still make money with YouTube before you even get to that level, because apparently here, if you look at it, it's saying that as a nano influencer on YouTube, you could charge between $100 and $500 to talk about somebody's stuff. They'll pay you. It sounds weird. Talk about somebody's stuff. I guess I could be more specific, huh? Is there anything in here? Sponsorships include, okay, so it could be integrated videos or dedicated videos. Oh, and yeah, and then here for the numbers on Twitter, because that seems to be kind of like your best dollar, or like your cheapest dollar spent. Really? Between $10 and $50 to have a nano Twitter influencer, which would be 10,000 followers or less. That's not a whole lot of money to get out to around 10K-ish people, right? Hey, something to think about. The cool thing about influencer marketing to me is that, especially for smaller brands, just smaller businesses in general, it's a great way to not only, if you have a little bit of budget, it's a great way for you to pay to play. And by that, I just mean getting exposure by spending money to get the exposure, as opposed to just organic posting and hoping that algorithms will start to build up your following and put your content out in front of more people. Beyond what is the typical advantage of paid media in the digital space, is also the fact that when you're working with an influencer, there's a chance, especially if you work with smaller influencers. In this article, they're talking about nano influencers, micro influencers. So it's not that you don't have to go and have the money. You don't need the money to work with celebrity status or these macro influencers that are, you know, on their way to 1 million follows. You can get with these smaller influencers, and obviously it's going to cost you a lot less. But especially with those smaller influencers, I can just think, like, logically, if I'm a young brand and I'm just starting to get my feet wet into this area, and I'm just looking for exposure, brand awareness, and just, you know, build up my customer list a little bit more, then working with these smaller influencers is great, because it doesn't cost me a ton of money. And if the influencer is really, if we get along really well, then that's a connection. So you are paying to make professional connections and get leads, get more exposure to your brand. So I think that's a huge double whammy. There's a huge win there, and you can be probably a little bit more negotiable with your budget and what you're looking to do. It's just more of having a real conversation with a real person who happens to be influencer status, right? And so if they like what you're doing, they like who you are, they like your brand, they think it's good for their audience, and they think it all makes sense, then you could be on track for some really good stuff there. So consider using smaller influencers in your paid media strategy. Don't just stick it all into Facebook ads where you have like the system and the algorithm figuring out placements and all of that. Work with some people, work with influencers. Not only do you get the exposure, but you also create real connections and relationships that can stair step with you as you grow And also when that influencer continues to grow because they're already doing well, right? They're just at the beginning of their journey, most likely. As they grow, that's even better. And maybe you get grandfathered in on cheaper rates. Who knows? But it's worth a try. It's something to think about.